What's society's obsession with wanting to get these things sober, quote unquote? So, like, you know, I've had people say that, like, I trip too much, but I don't know what that means, and I don't even know if they know what that means. Like, what do people mean that I don't trip like them, right? Like, it's a very ego thing to assume and expect everyone on earth to live like you, right? Like, I don't expect people to do what I do, but it's like I expect people to do what they do. So it's this thing where, as human beings, when we come in contact with each other, we have to learn when someone shows us who they are, like, we have to believe them. Like, that's I seen that saying, like I seen it on a Facebook meme or something, and like it had me thinking about how, like, I've showed people me, like, before I was the man I am today. I told people the man I wanted to be. Like, I told people where I want to go, what I'm trying to do, the whole modern shaman thing and the whole all this shit, right? So obviously the goals that I have are going to require me to live a certain way. Um so I live according to the goals that I have in life. So, like, I've had people say, why can't you just do it sober? And it's like, well, because my lifestyle accommodates the goal that I have, which the goal that I have is not being sober. That's your goal, right? Like, that when someone else has a goal of, like, well, my goal is to be in shape, I want to become the best version of myself, but that's my goal, not your goal. So, like, I don't expect you to wake up every single day like I do and work hard at becoming the best version of yourself, right? Like, when I would work out all the time and I would tell people would say, yo, bro, you need to, like, relax. Like, you're gonna hurt your body, you're gonna hurt yourself. And it's like, no, no, I know what I'm doing. People are like, oh, you're gonna hurt you using tripping too much or doing the no, 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 I know what I'm doing, right? Like, it's one of these things where it's like sometimes it just gets annoying telling people I know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, I know how I just know what I need to do. I know why I'm doing it. I know whatever. Like, I've never even tried cocaine. I've never tried meth. Like, and there's a reason for that because I know what I'm doing. I'm not looking for drugs that are like, oh, I need to feel better. I don't give a fuck about how I feel. All I'm trying to do is get my goals accomplished, no matter how I feel, right? So I'm not using drugs to avoid feelings. I'm using substances shamanically to gain knowledge, to build my consciousness. Like what Timothy Leary said, in the future, it won't be about what book you read, it'll be about what chemical you took to expand or retract your consciousness. That is an exact sentence of my life, of why I do what I do. Why it's like, why can't you do it sober? Because why can't you just know information without reading a book? Why do you have to read the book? Right? Like, that's how dumb the question is to me. Like, when someone's like, why can't you do it sober? Or why can't. It's as dumb as of a question as saying, why can't you know the knowledge without reading the book? Obviously, you're going to need to read the book, metaphorically speaking, to learn the knowledge. So, it's like, obviously, why can't you get in shape without doing push ups? Why do you have to do the push ups? Can't you build muscle without doing push ups? Like, that's the same type of question, bro. Because then people are like, this things you get from psychedelics, you can get that from meditation. No, you can't. No, no, the fuck you can't. We, if you can, like Terrence McKenna said, you know, you don't see anyone going into meditation with their boots and knees shaking and their like shaking in their boots. No, because you go into DMT that way. Like you go into a 5 gram a giant mushroom dose like that way. Like you don't go into meditation fearful. So no, it's not the same thing. Like it's not at all. It's the same thing as microdosing. So like if you microdose or if you take really light doses and then you're like that's similar to meditation. Like so I guess to what you could learn from meditation. But it's a different thing. And it's a different book. It's that thing, right? Like why do you have to read why can't you read the same book for all the information? No, obviously you're going to have to pick up a different book. So that's what I do with my life. They're like, right now I'm on Motherwort and I've been using Motherwort for 15 days. And it's like I'm learning the things that the Motherwort has to teach. I was using LSD from 2020 up until um the beginning of November 2024, or like the middle of November, whatever. But and it's like I learned as much as I can that LSD has to teach. I read the book, but sometimes you got to read a book twice. Sometimes you read a book 3 times, and then the third time you're figuring out information that you did not know the first time. So like, I just know what I'm doing, right? And I suggest everyone knows what you need to know what you're doing. Do not do drugs because you see someone online do drugs. Never do drugs because you want to avoid your problems, right? Like, no. I take substances to face my problems. So I would take LSD. Like when I went through the breakup, I took LSD to face my problem. I don't suggest other people do that because that's a really quick way to have what humans call a bad trip, right? Like, but I know me, so I know I can never have a bad trip. That doesn't exist because I know what psychedelics are for me. Like, I know what I'm doing. So it's this thing that I'm not trying to be sober because I know what I'm doing. I'm not trying to be sober. I was on the journey to become a modern day shaman. So I'm using the plants to learn about them, to get to know them, to build a personal relationship with them, so that I can understand them inside and out. And they helped me a lot, right? Like I became a better man because of the books I read. Books I read, meaning the molecules I've used, the plants I've used, the psychedelics I've used, and how often I've used them. So people have always said, like you're gonna abuse psychedelics, and it's like, no, bro. You only abuse things if you're using them from a Western perspective. Because I went into this from a shamanic perspective, I obviously have gotten shamanic results. Like, bro, I seen someone said, because I look healthier. They're like, oh, you doing spell work or some shit. I'm like, bro, I don't believe in spells. I'm not a fucking witch or I don't believe in that shit. No disrespect to people that do, but I'm just saying I don't. I'm a modern shaman, so I'm just putting the work in. I put that work in. I take plants that heal. I take lion's mane, helps my mind. I take vitamins, helps my skin. Drink enough liquid. I have a workout routine. I have a happiness routine. Like, there's things I do that just, I do them because they set my soul on fire. That's it. Like, I set aside time in my life for my family, just like most of my time. Like, I spend a lot of time with my family. And, like, I don't know, keeping yourself happy, keeping yourself this, doing things, self love, taking care of yourself, removing bad habits, adding better habits. Of course, you're going to start to look better and feel better. Like, but all people were concerned about is the drug use. They're like, oh, yeah, but you're using all these drugs and all these plants and all these things. And it's like, yeah, but you're completely missing everything else I'm doing. And you're completely missing why I'm doing them. Right? So people are not doing drugs for the same reason you're doing drugs. We're all in this for a different reason. So just because you used psychedelics at a party and that's what you did with your friends and you did that all the time, that doesn't mean everyone else did. I've never even tripped at a festival before, right? Like my trips were spiritual from the very beginning. It was just me smoking DMT, right? Like it was a spiritual journey to me. And I don't know, it's just expanded since then. But like since then I've just been continuing on the journey. So I'm just continuing on the journey.